Martini, are we back on? All right. Thank you. All right, so returning to our previously scheduled program, we had moved our committee updates to now, so surprised not to have one from Buildings and Grounds, but okay. They deserve a vacation.
Yes.
Break. Great work up to this point this year. More to do. Communications. Do we have an update?
We worked on coordinating communications for bond and budget and are finalizing the survey, which will begin later this month. Is that specific, too specific, specific enough?
I hope in the next few days to have a launch date. It's just going to be a timing before or after break based on being able to grab our audience. So I can see in my inbox I have an email from them, so maybe I'll have more direction.
Great. And
Was
there's
it-
also a newsletter coming out.
Was it shared with the committee, communications committee, the last time we gave the survey? We got some feedback from the kids. They didn't realize to take it seriously. They weren't sure about it, and
Yep.
if they knew that their opinion was mattered, they would have.
And that carried over to our conversation at administrative council, so they're going to think about their administration.
Great. Fantastic. Glad to hear.
Yeah, oh, and just so you know, because you had asked me to raise that at the meeting, and I did, and the other thing that was pointed out was like some of the questions, like the one about mission and vision, that the kids were kind of getting hung up, like, what, do you think the mission is communicated well, does the vision, so they kind of like put those together to make it, that the kids wouldn't get stuck on stuff and lose focus. So I think it was a really
Great suggestion.
useful meeting.
I
So
forgot that
some
it's
some
really
tweaks
like
from
that.
the version last year, but a lot of consistency as well, because then the
Yeah,
strength of
no,
it
no,
grows
no, no,
over time.
but places where, you know, you could see that there was that kind of thing, you can see, it was fascinating, really, learning more about how these things are created and how important they are to measure climate. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm done.
That time of the day, I can't hear. The newsletter for that informative piece is for the budget and the bond. When does that go out? And
It's 6-day notice, so it has to go out within a window of time of the vote. So it's actually complicated. If you've seen some of our communications on the website and in newsletters, we have to provide, by law, we have to provide anything related to the vote, or a vote in both English and Spanish. So we've actually worked through, and we worked with Syntax to be able to develop a format for that, and I shared it with the communications committee. So we're actually working on a three-part newsletter, so to speak, that will satisfy our 6-day notice requirements. Our team of district clerks has already tackled like a lot of the required notices with notifications in the newspaper in both English and Spanish. But we're going to have a three-part budget, bond, vote, election newsletter. So it's going to be, and with some feedback from the committee, we're actually looking at doing it in 3 different color fonts. So there will be a few pages on budget, English and Spanish, page or two on the project, and then a page on the elections. So we're actually working on that, and with the direction we get tonight, we can actually, with the budget, we can actually now begin to start mapping out that work. So
Thank you.
it's on its way.
Curriculum Committee. We met on 3/22, March 22nd, and really the bulk of the conversation was about understanding social emotional learning and the support to be provided by the social worker, which we elaborated on today further. Really, we talked about multi-tiered support systems, or AKA MTSS, as in comparison with RTI, and sort of really dove into an deeper understanding of that, and that carried through into some of these meetings. You want to add that?
I didn't want to add about that, although I will say that in addition to, at the curriculum meeting, we talked about how the recent community mental health meeting, where we talk about services for children in public schools, they specifically referred to something which we've talked about, which is the RTI-MTSS tier model is a very well-accepted framework for what we're talking about. So moving forward, that's really going to provide a lot of support and guidance. The other thing, I didn't know if I can jump in now with an announcement from the PTSA as their liaison, or are we still doing curriculum?
I'm done with curriculum.
Oh, good point.
Michael, you wanted that.
No, thank you, that was great.
So the PTSA would like me to make sure that everyone on the board and in the administration who's here now and in the audience is aware that the Irvington PTSA Spring Luncheon is being held on May 3rd, a Friday at 10 a.m. There's going to be a speaker, and they hope to see everyone there. And then to just piggyback on what those nice student commenters were talking about, you know, there's a pollinator pathway program in Irvington, and it does have some, they have cooperated with a couple of our schools, most notably Main Street School, and they would like me to announce that on April 10th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center, there's a presentation on sustainable lawn practices that's appropriate for all ages.
Thank you. Any other, I guess that covers it.
I would just, if I can note on behalf of policy, maybe, if you remember the original timeline that I communicated that we'd be adopting some policies this evening. Policy committee is meeting on Friday, and we'll reevaluate the timeline, understanding everybody's had a full plate, and I know that some feedback has still been heading back to the committee. So we'll talk about a revised timeline, because as you know, there's another batch ready to come to you and some other work that the committee's gonna have to tackle as well. So we'll update you following the meeting on Friday.
Okay.
So, yeah, just a quick pause. Do we want to move ahead, or do we need any more discussion? Okay. So, we're going to move into the consent agenda. Could I get a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda, except for item 9.4, which will, I guess, is table the right term?
We'll table it as we review a technical glitch, possibly.
Review with the possible technical issue. Could I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So with that, do we do a second vote to approve, or do we just do that? We're all done.
First, second,
Okay.
Pauline and Doreen, you got the motion?
Yep. Yep.
And as always, we appreciate the partnership with the PTSA, which gave a grant for the Main Street School dance. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. And the IEF, which gave grants for digital camera and debate club. The debate club is a new club at the
Yep.
high school. Great. I think that's our thanks. Any additional community comment from our audience?
It's been a long night. Yeah.
We'll
So-
find a teacher.
I'm gonna remind you of that.
Our next public meeting will be Tuesday, April 23rd at 7:30 PM in the campus presentation room. Could I get a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of particular persons?
So moved.
Second?
Maura seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.